Good morning, fam. It's Erica with Not Your Average EDC, and today we are going to talk about Benchmade Bugout and the Hogue Deka. So a few days ago, I made a video about the first impressions on the Hogue Mini Ritter versus the Benchmade Mini Grip. So I wanted to make the same video about the Bugout and the Deka going head-to-head. First impressions after using them for a few days. Obviously, this isn't the review or anything, but I like to record the first impressions just so we can kind of keep track of everything through the whole month of testing. So these two I carried the other day when I filmed the camper video of my camper, and I was doing some testing with the Deka in particular. There's a video of me cutting some foam gap filler that had dried, and I was trimming it off of the bottom of the camper with this for testing purposes. So just wanted to talk about these a little bit. Where to start? Where to start? Well, they're both very lightweight, and they're both FRN, and they're both about the same size. As in, they're the exact same size. Same length and everything. On the Deka, we have a Wharncliffe blade, which is almost kind of like a straight razor, really. I mean, you have a little bit of belly, and it's a compound grind, but really cool Wharncliffe style blade there. And then, obviously, just a typical drop point on the Bugout. In hand, they don't feel very similar other than being plasticky, just because the ergonomics are so different. On the Deka, we have a choil here, and it's just a little more contoured, I guess, whereas on the Bugout we have a complete lack of ergonomics, and it's essentially just a straightaway, almost like a rectangle, but a comfortable one. We have deep carry clips on both. I mentioned in the introduction to this testing a few videos back that I was going to keep all of the knives stock for the month. I just wanted to test like the raw model, no lynch clips, no special hardware or anything, just how they would be from the dealer or the factory. So we have the stock clips on here. And right away, I had mentioned that I thought that this clip on the Deka was going to be garbage, and it is. It's absolute trash. The amount of times that this has started to slip out of my pocket or has slipped out of my pocket, it's actually very irritating. This clip has no retention whatsoever. It's completely flimsy, and I have heard that other people's have a little more retention. Mine is just trash. This Bugout deep carry clip has very good retention. It's very stiff. So I really like this one, but the factory clip on the Deka is trash. Now, I will preface with the fact that I think I have like the first run of the Deka. So I've been conversing about this knife with a lot of people because like Jared Neves had this, he tested it. A whole bunch of people have reached out to me about it. And I think I have the first run of the Magna Cut Dekas because I got it when they first came out. And from my understanding, this is from the run where they were like 61 for HRC, and now they're like 63 to 64, I think. So it is soft, and I'm also wondering if it's just kind of lacking because it came from the first run. Because I'm having so many people with different opinions. Like, a lot of people are saying that theirs was kind of garbage too, and they actually returned it. And then I have people saying that they recently got one and they love it, and like the clip seems better, and theirs is at 63 to 64 for the heat treat. So the whole conclusion of this testing might be irrelevant to a lot of people, because if you get the most recent run, yours should be better. But what are we going to do? I can't get another one of these. I can't afford to buy another Deka, a newer one to test with the Bugout. It is what it is. So we'll just test this as it is. So the clip has no retention. It is constantly slipping out of my pocket to the point where I'm just sliding it into my pocket now, and it's jingling around with all my other crap. I just can't keep track of this. I cannot babysit this. And the clip is just such garbage. So it's just hanging out in my pocket for the most part, or in my sweatshirt pocket. It's so cold already here in New Hampshire that you're just constantly in a sweatshirt. So this kind of hangs out in my little kangaroo pouch. And then this is the one that's clipped to my pants pocket. In terms of the blade shape, though, I really like this Wharncliffe blade shape. It's very utilitarian. And I've been doing a lot of poking and prying with the tip here. I know a lot of people don't believe in that, but okay, if you do not believe in using your shit, I don't even know what planet you live on, bro. I'm around so many people that are in blue-collar fields, and Jesus, Bruce, the guy that owns the property that we're living on now, he was a construction site manager for like 35 years, or maybe longer, actually. He just retired. And the other day we were working on the campers, and he was resetting an electrical outlet thing in Nicole's camper, and without even thinking twice, guys, he pulled out his little mini Gerber pear frame. That's the knife that he carries, because realistically speaking, if you're in a blue-collar field and you're normal, you don't give a shit what the knife is. You just buy whatever's at Walmart when yours gets dull and broken. He pulls out his Gerber mini pear frame and uses the tip to reset the little box thing. And that's just what, like, normal people do. You have to realize, like, we're going off topic here, but give me a second. Normal people, normal workers that are not on Instagram, that are not on YouTube, that don't even know that this world exists, they use their knives as multi-tools. That's just how it is. You will not find, like, a normal, everyday person that's not on Instagram. You're not going to find them carrying an entire toolkit all the time. They use their knife as a pry bar, and a screwdriver, and a poker, and a cutter, and a slicer. They use it for everything. And I'm kind of in between. In terms of that. I know about the community, obviously. I'm in it. I have a channel. I have an Instagram page. I've been using knives since I was, like, 4 or 5 years old. I think 5. And I'm kind of in between where I use my shit, but I also carry, like, a Swiss Army knife and stuff, and I know more about these knives than, like, your just typical Bruce. So I'm kind of in between. I will say, though, I've been using the tip of this for many things other than cutting, because this is what's on me. And the tip is very strong for being so thin. I mean, it is extremely thin, but I've been using this we have a bunch of cans of, like, the foam space filler, the gap filler, and flex seal, stuff like that, to seal up these campers and to work on them. And when you don't use the whole can and you go to use it the next day, a lot of the pieces are clogged. The holes are clogged, the sprayers are clogged. So I've been using this little very fine tip to unclog those holes in all of the cans and the sprayers and the tools and everything, and it works great. It hasn't broken, it hasn't chipped, it's fantastic. So that's cool. This very sharp, pointy tip right there is not only for cutting, it's absolutely a multi-tool there. But yeah, so the blade shape on this is fantastic. We've already talked about the thumb studs on these types of knives being kind of trash. This has the same studs as this, and we talked about in the video of this one that the thumb studs are so sharp, and they are on the Deka as well, very, very sharp. It just doesn't have to be like that. But I really like the blade shape. I really like everything else about it. It feels extremely cheap and plasticky, which I don't mind, but I've mentioned numerous times. I think it's almost too much for most people, and it feels like you could just take this knife and snap it. I could take this knife and just snap it in half right now if I wanted to. I guarantee it. It's just that cheap and flimsy feeling. But it is working so far. When I was trimming that foam off of the camper the other day, this did fabulous. The steel is soft. We already know that, but that's because I got the first run, and this is probably at like 61. makes it easy to touch up when I'm over at the camper site, but it also does not keep an edge long at all. Like, at all. And that's even just with normal cutting too, even if I'm not like abusing this blade. It has close to no edge retention. But yeah, easy to touch up, which is fun. So this has been like my complete beater knife with the campers. This is like almost like my disposable razor blade knife, because the thing with that is I have like a utility knife, one of those razor knives. It just doesn't have a lot of reach. The razor blade does not have nearly as much reach as this. So when I am doing tasks where I need a thin slicey blade, but I need length to saw with, my utility blade just doesn't cut it. So I use this. This has a lot of length to saw back and forth through that foam and thick materials and stuff like that. So this has been fantastic for those things. And it's thin enough where the geometry helps to cut even though the edge is kind of totaled. If that makes any sense, it's so thin that the geometry is really moving through those materials for me, which is a huge help. So this is so far just an absolute beater. It is just getting completely totaled so far. But the Bugout, man, guys, this has been out for so long. And I know that we're all tired of talking about the Bugout because there are new things out. I just can't move past how fantastic this is. And I think it's also because I feel that this is Benchmade's best offering in a long time. Like, their releases this year didn't excite me whatsoever. None of them did. If anything, some of them kind of pissed me off because they were so fucking stupid. The Weekender is like the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. So like, the Bugout still holds the spot for most innovative knife from Benchmade in the past many years. And the more I use it, the better it is. End of story. It's absolutely fantastic. So this has been the knife that I've been keeping in a little better shape because I feel that it's worth it. This is the one that I'm not like... This is the one that I'm going to reach for if I'm doing a job where it could break. This is the one that I'm reaching for just cutting. Not as much prying and stuff like that. But, and it feels better than the Deka, even though we have the squishy scales in a sense. They're less flexible than the Deka. The contours on the scales are way better than the Deka. These are so sharp. The ergonomics are better than the Deka because I will say, I don't understand why companies do this index finger choil when whose fucking fingers are that thick? Unless you're 300 pounds. Seriously, whose fingers are that thick? Unless you have sausage links for fucking appendages, I just don't get it. I don't understand why that's so large. So, like, for me, when I grip this knife, fuck you! This hump right here, that's what my middle finger lays on. So I have to kind of move back and hold it abnormally so that my finger isn't on there. And on some models that have this big choil, it's not as big of a deal. Like on this one, it also kind of has that, but it's less pronounced. And this one is much more comfortable. My fingers fall in the same place, but because it's less pronounced, it just doesn't bother me at all. This little hump I don't even really feel it. But on the Deka, I do. And it's just like unnecessary. Just make it straight. So the Bugout is much more comfortable. It's just a little more straight, a little more utilitarian, unisex. Everything about the Bugout so far is just a little ahead of the Deka. So, other than the springs, because the springs on all of the Hogue knives are the Wolf springs, so they're better than the Benchmade ones. But it's interesting how in this duo, the Bugout so far is way better than the Deka. And then in this duo, again, Hogue versus Benchmade, the Hogue is seeming a little bit better than the mini grip from Benchmade. So on one side, Hogue is kind of winning, and on the other side, it's really fucking losing so far. Other than just being a complete beater knife, but like at the same time for I want to say at least 150. Beating the fuck out of a $150 knife because it feels so crappy that you don't actually care about it. I'm not sure how many people are going to be on board with that. So that's kind of what I think so far. And I also just wanted to show you guys the tools that I'm using the most in renovating the campers, because people have been asking about that. So just kind of going back to philosophy of use here. The peanut gallery who's like, well, if you were a real tradesman, you would have a whole toolkit and you wouldn't need a pocket pry bar and a Swiss Army knife because you would have the tools for the job. You also literally probably have your mom wipe your ass with wet wipes. Like, shut up. If you are on a job site, or in my case, working on campers, and there are 2 campers that need work, and you have 1 toolbox, and there are 2 campers, and there's only like 1 of each tool because we do not have the money to buy 2 crowbars, and 2 hammers, and 2 framing squares, and 2 saws, and 2 tool belts. If you just have 1 of each and somebody is using 1 of them, or it's over in the other camper and you just need to do something very quickly, I will be using my pocket pry bar to pry nails and staples out of the side of the camper if Nicole is using the real pry bar or the real crowbar or the real anything over in her camper. Like, go out of your house and like go into society and like go actually do things, because then you will realize that sometimes you do improvise, and that's what these tools are for. This is a very long, sturdy pry bar from Nice Guy Machine Company. This is fully capable of doing, surprisingly, a lot of the things that the stuff in the toolbox can do. And if somebody else is using those, or they're, across the way or whatever, who knows where, and I just need to quickly, for like 30 seconds, use something, a prying type tool to pry something, it's really convenient having this in my pocket when I'm on the go and all over the place. This is very convenient to have them in my pocket, especially because it weighs nothing. So my whole point is, there's a place for these tools, right? There's a place for pocket pry bars. There's a place for multi-tools that you carry on a belt sheath. There is a place for pocket flashlights. I'm not going to use my phone. There's no way I'm going to use my phone as a flashlight. The flashlight is so dim on that, and the beam is so spread that it really doesn't help illuminate specific items. You can illuminate kind of a general space, but if I'm looking at the inside of one of the kitchen cabinets that's been eaten by rats in my camper, and I want to look way in there and see what I need to do to re-insulate that and refinish it on the inside, a real flashlight is going to help me see much better than like this widespread shit beam from my stupid iPhone. So these really do have a place. Like, real tools, little pocket tools, have a place in EDC for people that actually do things in their life. So I've been carrying this. This has been super helpful. I really like the pliers on the Spirit X. And all of these tools have been crazy, crazy useful lately. The other day I was pulling staples out of the side of Nicole's camper on the inside because somebody put up like curtains. So I had this little screwdriver out, locked out, and then I also had the pliers out, and what I would do is I would pry the staples kind of out of the board with this, and then flip it over and pull the staples actually out with the pliers, because if I were to only use the screwdriver, I'd be mangling the board. It was like, what is it called? Not cork board. It's like a compressed type of board, and I can't remember, but it splits and chips easily if you're like prying on it. So you have to be kind of careful. So I would like get the staples started with the screwdriver and then like gently kind of wiggle them out with the pliers, which was super helpful. So there's that. I was using all of these. These have been crazy useful too for jobs where I need a little more grip and just a different type of pliers. So these little Knipex 5-inch ones have been crazy useful. And the only problem with these was that they were like blowing holes through my pants pockets, just riding around in there because this tip was really kind of like wearing when I walked. So I did pick up this $20 sheath from Lynch Northwest. They're on the website. And these are made by Redeemed Creations, but it was like a collab with Lynch Northwest. And they're made specifically for the small, there's like 4 different types of pliers that Knipex makes, 4 and 5-inch, I think. And they all fit in this little sheath, but this has been crazy helpful because it still slips into my pocket nice and slim. But it's not blowing holes through my pockets anymore because that tip is protected by this leather sheath. $20. Honestly, 100% worth it. Great retention. Really like this sheath. It's been much better to carry my pliers. And then obviously some form of Swiss Army knife. The amount of splinters that you get working in renovations, it's just ridiculous. Insulation, fiberglass, all types of crap. I'm wearing gloves when I'm handling that type of stuff, but there's so many little pokey, dirty things everywhere and debris that you just end up getting splinters. So having my tweezers in here, super helpful. Also, I've always preached the obsession of having a pin in a Swiss Army knife. You can do SIM card removal and stuff with these, but also if you have like a really deep splinter or a blister or, man, I've used this pin. It's actually bent, I think, from using it so much. I've used this pin for hundreds of applications. Very, very useful having a little straight pin, or in my case, a little bent and twisted. Very useful having that. So that rides right in my Swiss Army knife. All of the plastic Swiss Army knives that I have ever owned have that secret pinhole. You can order a set of 5 pins on Amazon for, I think it's like literally $3. So that just rides in there. Very useful. Weighs nothing. I really like carrying a Swiss Army knife. And it's nice too to do like combos. I really like doing the pliers and Swiss Army knife combo on certain days. And then if I know for a fact that I'm going to be doing some pretty crazy stuff, I'll carry the full multi-tool. This also has scissors on it, which my Spartan does not. So it just depends on what I'm doing, really. If I go over to the campers with a specific project in mind, I will set up my toolkit, my on-person toolkit, according to what I believe I will be doing that day. Also, I wanted to mention, I have tested both of these types of pliers with fencing. Lots of fencing work to do, and I will say the Knipex is, I really like using this for that type of work way more than these. The needle nose I just find is a little, I don't get enough surface contact with the needle nose on these that I do with the Knipex. I really like the surface contact that you get with that flat pliers head. Nom nom. So yeah, tons of good stuff going on, but I just wanted to give you guys some updates. Talk about tools. We're already like 24 minutes in, so I gotta get out of here and do something productive. I will see you guys on the next video. Go use your shit. Let me know down in the comments which one you like so far. The Benchmade Bugout or the Hogue Deka. Which one tickles yo fancy more? Yeah, I will see you guys soon with some updates on these. I love you guys. Thanks for the support. Oh, go check out Evergreen EDC. He just got the package of knives that I sent him for testing. So check out his latest video. He's going to be testing a whole bunch of stuff for me. And that video is really cool. So check out Evergreen EDC. He is my partner in testing now. Shout out to Jake. Yeah, that's officially it. Bye, guys. Love you.